Velocity is a distance, nothing else. It's a distance that an object covers in 1 second, nothing else. And when we think about high speeds, we don't think about them that way. We think about them as how hard it is to stop, or how hard it will bang into us if we come in the way, and so on. But how are these two ideas connected? Why is it that something that covers a larger distance in 1 second bang into things harder? I don't know for sure, but I have a clue. Basically, the first thing is that any kind of a thing we take, like a table or a chair or me or anything, like a table, you can't put your hand through it. Why not? You might think that that's an inherent property of matter, that it solids, that it can't be compressed. But why? You intuitively sense that you can't put your hand in, but why not? Well, the answer is this. The table has electrons all over its surface, and so does my hand. So when I put my hand close enough to the table's electrons, my hand's electrons close enough to the table's electrons, they too repel. And that's the reason I'm not able to put my hand through the table. Simple, because of electronic repulsion. It's not an inherent quality of all kinds of substances that they can't be compressed or something. It's simply because of these forces, the repulsion of the electrons and electrons with each other, what causes it. So, this fact that things moving a larger distance in 1 second bangs into things harder or experiences a larger force is simply a consequence of this. Why so? Basically, something really mysterious happens in electron. You all of you guys know this, but probably haven't thought about it deep enough. The basic thing is that if an electron comes closer to an electron, basically things have one property, that if they travel a distance in 1 second, they'll travel that same distance in the next second, and so on. We don't know why this is true, it's just the way it is. So if an electron travels a certain distance in 1 second and it comes across another electron, like after 1 second it goes here, now it comes across another electron, the next second it will cover a less distance, the same second. The next second, like in the same period of time, so to speak. The first second, the distance covered was greater than the distance covered in the second second. Mysterious. This electron from a distance enchanted some kind of a spell on this electron, and thereby made it cover less distance. At a distance, this electron didn't touch. The two electrons didn't touch each other, but somehow magically through empty space sent out their spells. And since Newton said that no spell can be enchanted which does not affect the person who enchanted the spell itself, this electron, which was not moving any distance the previous second, has now started to move a certain distance. And really, really surprisingly, the distance that this electron moved, imagine that first I told that this electron was moving. This electron, say, moved n meters in this second. The next second it moves, say, for instance, 5 meters less than L. Surprisingly, this electron started moving 5 meters a second. We don't know why. That's just the way it is. But obviously it has an explanation. We just don't know. Or maybe others know. Maybe I don't know. But this is what happens. We see that the distance covered in 1 second drops. Okay, fine. What happens if these two electrons were still? They were not moving any distance. They mysteriously start moving in this direction a certain number of meters a second. And surprisingly, again, the distance that this covers in the next second is the distance that this covered in the next second. These two have the same velocity, so to speak. They enchanted some spell across empty space, and it's still effective. Looks like magic, and it is like kind of beyond our comprehension, so to speak. Not anything like unnatural or something. It's simply beyond our comprehension. Like, we don't understand why this happened. But you see that when something was going here, like going in this direction, it has to be reversed such that it goes in this direction. It keeps slowing down as it goes there. Basically, the distance it covers in 1 second keeps reducing, and then starts increasing the other way and increasing, and so on. The same thing. Now, if an object is covering a larger distance in 1 second, it takes longer to reverse. And surprisingly, this spell enchanted by one electron on another is more effective when you're closer. And if you're twice as close, in other words, you're half as far as before, the spell is 4 times more effective. If you're 3 times closer, 9 times more effective, and so on. Hopefully you see a pattern between the number of times you're coming closer to it and the effectiveness of the spell. So, the longer it takes to reverse, the closer this one gets to this one, and the more effective the spell is. Or in other words, the more kind of a force, as we see this, we experience. So that's the reason that things covering a larger distance in 1 second thus take longer to reverse, thus exert a larger force, and thus bang into things harder.